Welcome for a discussion on a fairly controversial topic, at least of late, about this Electricity Amendment Bill 2020. So the reason why this has been controversial is there is again this tussle whether is the central government trying to wrest control from the state government on a subject which is there which appears in the concurrent list of the constitution. So let's try and understand what this is all about. Let's leave the clutter and noise behind us. I would thank Sundar and Jugal for their efforts to get the presentation today. So these are some of the terms. CERC is Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. ECEA is Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority. NLDC is National Load Dispatch Center. So this is the agenda for the day, friends. First, what the quick summary of the changes, a brief peek on the National Renewable Energy Policy, the payment security mechanism, cross-border trade facilitation. See, all these are various aspects of the amendment. Constitution of Selection Committee to recommend members, Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority, cost reflective tariff and direct benefit transfer of subsidies, another controversial area. Distribution, sub-license and franchisee, another controversial area. Deemed adoption of tariff discovered through competitive bidding, an enhancement of penalties, and what it is likely to look at. So, some of the before we get into understanding what the amendments are, let's look at a high level perspective on the background of this amendment. So, of course, as we all know, electricity or power is one of the key infrastructure requirements. The Electricity Act 2003 has been the statutory paradigm which has governed the laws regarding generation, distribution, transmission, and trading and use of electricity. One thing what we must know is, as much as power is a very important and integral part of the infrastructure of this country, nearly 40% of power generation and distribution companies are loss making. And there is an average transmission and distribution loss of about 22% in India. That's huge, huge. So, but the electricity is seized with few critical issues, and which, as we would be seeing, in terms of free electricity, limitless free electricity, loss in transmission, and subsidy without monitoring, and it's literally killed the industry and private participation. So, in order to address some of the recurring issues and to promote further commercial incentive for players to participate and engage in this sector, this particular bill has been proposed. So let's try and understand what the changes are. So the central government would prepare and notify a national renewable energy policy. It shall also prescribe rules for cross-border trade of electricity with our landlocked neighborhoods or land-connected neighborhoods. Creation and functioning of electricity contract enforcement authority similar to your TRAI. Constitution of selection committee members of that authority, payment security mechanism before scheduling dispatch of electricity, and determination of cost reflective tariff and direct benefit transfer. And especially the last one was introduced to improve efficiency in subsidy dispensation. Let's understand what this national renewable energy policy is about. The central government, after consultation with state governments, as may be considered necessary, prepare and notify a national renewable energy policy for promotion of for promotion and generation of electricity from renewable sources, and shall also prescribe a minimum percentage of purchase of electricity from renewable and hydro source of energy. So this uh, the intent is to promote, as you understand, we are aware that India has also made its pledge to move to renewable energy sources, and we are one of the larger players in the solar space globally, if not the largest. Payment security mechanism. So the National Load Dispatch Center shall be responsible for optimum scheduling and dispatch of electricity in the country. It would monitor grid, supervise and control them, and it has overall authority for carrying out real-time operations of the national grid. The NLDC may give such authority, guidance on safety and security of the national grid, and also to ensure stability of the operations. And every regional load dispatch center, state load dispatch center, licensee, every other stakeholder should comply with the guidance mentioned here. Now, the following proviso has been inserted after the provisions what we have seen. No electricity shall be scheduled or dispatched under the contract unless adequate security of payment as agreed by the parties to the contract has been provided. Because this is one thing you would see, the discoms are now in pathetic state financially because of a very poor payment mechanism. So, compared with the Act, the above provisions are newly inserted in the bill. The main purpose is to provide an adequate payment security mechanism for dispatch of electricity, which was not there earlier. And this would protect the revenue of electricity producers from any default by the distributors and ensure continuous business operations. Which is why you would see even the 90,000 crore bailout they've given. The government, it did come with caveats like implementation of digital payment system, etc., etc. Cross-border trade of electricity. So the central government may prescribe rules and issue guidelines for allowing and facilitating cross-border trade of electricity. And it may also require a Central Electricity Regulatory Commission to make regulations for cross-border trade. So this is another area where the state governments feel they might lose their autonomy. The CERC has issued guidelines, has issued regulations for uh, the cross-border trade of electricity in 2019, and Section 178 deals with powers of CERC to make regulations, and 66 with CERC's endeavor to promote the development of market. So this is India's cross-border sale. This would give you a mix of both import and export. So India currently trades with four countries: Bhutan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Myanmar. It imports power from Bhutan, while the other three it is we export. And a large part of export is made to Bangladesh, and then Nepal and Myanmar, and very very rarely to Bhutan. So all these numbers, what you see, are all in million units. So constitution of selection committee to recommend the members of the CERC. So this is where the central government shall, within a period of 1 month from the date of occurrence of any vacancy by way of death or whatever, shall nominate an appropriate member. But the real concern here is the selection of the members of the tribunal and the chairperson of the CERC and the Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority and Joint Commissioner shall be nominated by the CG. So now that's where the problem comes. At the highest level, you would have an honorable judge of Supreme Court of India, who should be the chairperson, and shall be nominated by the Chief Justice. A member being a secretary in charge of the central government, and two members each being a chief secretary of two different state governments, appointed for a period of 1 year. States being selected on the basis of alphabetical order. So that's how it goes. So the primary control will be with the central government, and tertiary control will be with the state government. This is another area of concern for all the state governments. And the state government shall, within a period of 1 month of vacancy, fill them. The central government shall fill the respective vacancy of its nominated members. Um, so the main purpose of this replacement was to bring uniformity in the selection process and to avoid multiple selection committees. So, and it also says the proceedings for hearing shall be held in Delhi and such other places, and no appointment shall be made invalid merely by reason of a vacancy, other than that of a chairperson in the selection committee. So you can see that the central government is trying to wrest control, and which is being opposed by state governments. This is like the other one, as I was mentioning, like TRA, the Electricity Contract Enforcement Authority. So the CG by notification established ECEA to exercise the powers conferred on and discharge the functions assigned to it under the Act. The ECEA shall have the sole authority and jurisdiction to adjudicate upon matters regarding performance of obligations under any contract relating to sale, purchase, or transmission of electricity. And every contract between a generation company and a licensee shall be filed with the appropriate commission within 30 days. So that's the other concern. Now, if you see the application for ECA and the order thereon, so it's a typical appellate tribunal procedure, and the time limit is 120 days. And any proceeding, it has the powers of civil court, and any appeal here shall go to the appellate forum, which is equal to your high court, and from there it shall happen. The appeal shall lie with the Supreme Court. So this is more like a tribunal for all practical purposes. So the cost reflective tariff and simplification of tariff structure and cross subsidy, this is a very big area of concern, at least for some of the opposing state governments. Open access facility shall be given to the consumers on payment of the transmission charges and surcharge thereon. But here, as this is the existing provision, the new amendment states that the open access facility shall be given to the consumers on payment of transmission charges as may be specified by CERC or State Commission, and a surcharge as may be specified by the State Commission if required to be collected. Now, when you look at open access charges, it's the process which allows the customers to purchase electricity from a number of competitive power companies rather than being forced to buy power from one entity. But the concern here is uh, you wouldn't have free subsidy. I mean, even if the power is subsidized, the funds will go to via direct benefit transfer to their bank account, and they might have to purchase electricity. The rationale given by the government for this is the government says that today there is huge amount of leakage in the subsidy dispensation mechanism, where even small farm holdings are consuming huge amounts of electricity without any accountability, and the subsidy is unlimited. So we need to now restrict the subsidy to a particular number, which looks fair, but yes. So open access shall be allowed on payment of surcharge in addition to charges for wheeling, as may be required. That's the process. Wheeling is technically the operation whereby the distribution system and associated facilities of a licensee are used by another entity. And cross subsidy is a method of charging a higher tariff as compared to the cost of supplying power for certain group of customers and utilizing such excess compensation for low tariffs being charged on other customers. That's typically how the entire mechanism has been working. Not only with electricity, even for railways, that's what has been happening. But the amendments here very clearly have stated that you need to first pay and make use, and the subsidy shall be done through by way of a direct benefit transfer. So this is where it happens, friends. If the state government requires a grant of any subsidy to any consumer or class of consumers in the tariff, the state government shall pay in advance, and in such manner as may be specified, the amount to compensate the person affected by the grant of subsidy in the manner of the state commission as a condition for the license or any other person concerned to implement the subsidy provided by the state government. Here it says this is the existing provision. So where the state government will pay a fee and then will pay the money in advance, and he is supposed to work. Now here, going forward, it says the state government requires a grant of any subsidy to a consumer or any particular group, which shall pay in advance the amount of subsidy directly to the consumer, and the licensee shall charge the consumers as per the tariff determined by the commission. So now this is where there is no question of cross subsidization which comes into picture here. And that's the biggest concern for people now. So this is an electoral issue. The main purpose of the above amendment is to enable direct benefit transfer of subsidies to the consumer, and therefore post this amendment the state commission shall determine the tariff to retail sale of electricity without any subsidy, like what's happening with gas for most cases. So this is typically, friends, the number what we are looking at. DBT today, if you see the cash subsidy, the beneficiaries are about 32.7 crores, and kind subsidies are 61 crores. So that's where we are today. I believe this number will reach to where it was earlier. I think last year it was 74 and 70. I think we should be much more because 2021 has just begun. Fund transfers to DBT, about 401 DBT schemes from 54 ministries, and a total of 44 crore transactions have taken place under these schemes. And if you see last year, friends, the total fund transfer was about 3,60,062,000 crores. And this year we should definitely be reaching that number though as of now it's still um, a small fraction compared to what happened later. This is another area of concern for all the for the opposing state governments. Distribution of sub license and franchisee. So a franchisee shall not be required to obtain any separate license from the appropriate state commission, and such distribution licensee shall continue to remain responsible for distribution of electricity in its area of supply. A distribution sub-licensee shall not be required to operate any separate license from the appropriate state commission. Earlier, that was not the case. So, even a sub-licensee was required to go through the process of approval, which led to a lot of bureaucratic delays and hurdles. But the state governments feel that this is like just letting the private sector have its way and may not be appropriate for us to consider. And likewise, the main purpose is to enhance the scope for private players and encourage more private players to get into the business of distribution of power. But today, if you notice, friends, as we saw, only 40% of the sector companies are loss making. And the bill gives a wider scope for private players to enter the market, and especially this move is required given the fact that there are huge losses being incurred by state owned distribution facilities, and bringing more private players into the market would increase competition and bring down, thereby resulting in fair and lower prices to the end users. Some of the leading players in this space: Adani, Tata, Torrent, JSW, and Reliance Power. So the deemed adoption of tariff discovered through competitive bidding. So the appropriate CERC shall adopt the tariff so determined through a transparent bidding process, not later than 60 days of application. The tariff deemed shall be deemed to be adopted by the appropriate commission. So this is done primarily. This is a new provision where the fundamental premise is to discover the price through competitive bidding in a transparent manner. Penalties have been enhanced. So any contravention on the provisions of the Act or rules up to 1 crore can be the penalty. Case of continuing failure, it could be 1 lakh per day for every continuing default. And similarly, if you notice, compared to the earlier act, in the the penalties have been significantly enhanced, and the insertion of 142.2, which makes it a case where any complaint is filed before the appellant commission, and or if the commission is satisfied that a person has not purchased power from renewable or hydro sources as is specified by using its powers under the act, the commission shall, without prejudice to any other penalty to which that person may be liable, levy an additional penalty of 1 per kilowatt hour for the shortfall in purchase in the second successive year, and 50 paise per kilowatt hour for the first year, and 2 per unit post second successive year. That's significant in terms of the penalty what they have over and above this 1 crore and 1 lakh per day. So some of the miscellaneous proposals in the additional powers have been given to the central government with respect to minimum percentage of purchase of electricity from renewable sources. So thereby trying to push the entire scheme to India's commitment. And if you look at the installed capacity, friends, the northern region has about 93,000 megawatt. The western region has about 117,000. Southern is 106. East is nearly 34,000. Northeast is about 4,300, and the islands, what we have, minuscule 57. On the whole, India has a capacity of 3,56,000. Very, very, we've significantly grown compared to where we were 4 5 years back. So the CG has given time from various stakeholders. The time limit was extended till 5th of June. States like Tamil Nadu, Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, etc., have opposed this. The Ministry has clarified through the press meet that the bill is not against the interest. That's see, there is a lot of politics involved, but if we were to look at it from a pragmatic perspective, regulating subsidies is not only the direction which Indian policymakers are looking at. Globally, that's been the challenge for most ruling governments, and we are not alone in this regard. So, the summon substance friends, it aims as if we were to summarize, the bill has a good flavor of privatization and making the power sector viable. It cannot be a case of state government, state sector, state entities bleeding and taxpayer money being used to fund that. So the regime of cross subsidization is likely to come to a close, and DBT is likely to be replacing even in the power sector what we have seen. And delicensing is something which we've been moving, and it's an area where it pushes India one step further closer to the free market regime. So these were some of our thoughts on this, and yes, thanks for joining. Very interesting and relevant conversation this morning. Thank you, and have a great day.